Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to mark 2 Kings 19 to 25, Proverbs 23, and Psalm 147. Let's get started. And as soon as King Hezekiah heard, he tore his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of the Lord, and he sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the secretary, and the senior priest covered with sackcloth, to prophet Isaiah the son of Amos. He said to him, Thus said Hezekiah, this day is a day of distress, of rebuke, and of disgrace. Should have come to the point of birth, and there is no strength to bring them forth. It may be that the Lord your God heard all the words of the rapture, whom his master the king of Syria has sent to mock the living God, and will rebuke the words that the Lord your God has heard. Therefore lift up your prayer, the remnant that is left. And the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah. Isaiah said, Say to your master, Thus says the Lord, do not be afraid because of the word that you have, which the servants of the king of Syria have revealed me. Behold, I'll put a spirit in him, so that he will hear rumor and will turn unto his own way. And I'll make him fall by the sword in his own way. Your Ramshake returned and found the king of Syria fighting against Libnah. Orion, king of Lachish. Now the king had consented to Hakkah, king of Cush. Behold, he is sent out to fight against you. So he sent messengers again to Hezekiah, saying, Thus you shall speak to Hezekiah, king of Judah. Do not let your God in whom you trust deceive by promising that Jerusalem will not be given into the hand of the king of Syria. You've heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all lands, devoting them to destruction, and shall you be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered, the nations that my fathers destroyed, Kizan, Haran, Rezeph, and the people of Edom, who were in Tel-Assar. Where is the king of Hamath, the king of Arpad, the king of Shear-Zephaniah, the king of Hen, or the king of Ever? Hezekiah received a letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. And Hezekiah went up to the house of the Lord and spread it before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed before the Lord and said, O Lord, the God of Israel, enthroned above the children, beyond the God, you alone of all the kings of the earth. He had made heaven and earth. Incline your ear, Lord, and hear. Open your eyes, O Lord, and see, and hear the words of Sennacherib, which he sent to mock the living God. Truly, O Lord, the kings of Syria have laid waste the nations and their lands, and have cast their gods into the fire. Well, they were not gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. Therefore they were destroyed. So now, O Lord our God, save us. Please come his hand. And let all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you, O Lord, are the God of Israel. And Isaiah son of Amos sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, your prayer to me about Sennacherib, king of Syria, I have heard. This is the word that the Lord has spoken concerning him. She despises you, she scorns you, the virgin daughter of Zion. She wags her head behind you, the daughter of Jerusalem. Whom have you mocked and revealed? Against whom have you raised your voice and lifted your eyes to the highest? Against the Holy One of Israel. By messengers you have mocked the Lord, and you have said, With my many chariots I have gone up to the heights of the mountains, to the far recesses of the mountain. I felt as tall as cedars, and as choice as cypress. I entered as far as the lodging place. It's the most fruitful forest, and I dug wells and drank flowing water. And I dried up with the sole of my foot all the streams of Egypt. Have you not heard that I determined it long ago? And I planned from days of old. What now I bring to pass? That you should turn fortified cities into heaps of ruins, while their inhabitants, shorn of strength, are dismayed and confounded, and have become like plants of the field, and like tender grass, and like grass on the housetops. Glided it before it is great. And I know you're sitting down, and you're going out and coming in, and you're raging against me, because you have raged against me. Your complacency has come into my ears, and I'll put my hook in your nose, and put my bit in your mouth. And I'll turn you back on the way by which you came. And this shall be the sign for you. This year eat what grows of itself, and the second year what springs of the same. And in the third year sow and reap and plant and vineyards, and eat their fruit. And the surviving remnant of the house of Judah shall again take root down and bear fruit upward, for out of Jerusalem shall go a remnant. And out of Mount Zion a band of survivors. The zeal of the Lord will do this. Therefore thus says the Lord the God, concerning the king of Syria. You shall not come into the sea or shoot an arrow there, or come before it with a shield or cast of siege bear against it. By the way that he came, by the same he shall return, and he shall not come into the sea, declares the Lord. For I'll prepare this city to save, for my own sake and for the sake of my servant David. And that night the angel of the Lord arose, went out and struck down 185,000 in the camp of the city. And then the people arose early in the morning. Behold, they were all dead bodies. And then Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went home and lived in Nineveh. And as he was worshipping in the house of his rock his god, Adramelech and Shuri his son struck him down with the sword and escaped into the land of Ara. And Esarhaddon his son reigned in his place. In those days Hezekiah became sick and was at the point of death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, came to him and said to him, Thus says the Lord, save your house in order, for you shall die, you shall not recover. And Hezekiah turned his face to the Lord and prayed to the Lord. And now, O Lord, please remember how I have walked with you in faithfulness and with whole heart. And I have done what is good in your sight. And Hezekiah wept bitterly. And before Isaiah had gone out of the middle court, the word of the Lord came to him. Turn back and say to Hezekiah, the leader of my people, Thus says the Lord, the God of David your father, I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. Behold, I will heal you. On the third day you shall go up to the house of the Lord, and I will add 15 years to your life. I will deliver you in the city out of the hand of the king of Syria, and I will defend the city for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. And as I said, bring a cake of figs, and let them take it and lay it on the boil, that he may recover. And Hezekiah said to Isaiah, What shall be the sign that the Lord will heal me, and that I shall go up to the house of the Lord on the third day? And Isaiah said, This shall be the sign to you from the Lord, that the Lord will do the thing that he has promised. Shall the shadow go forward 10 steps, or go back 10 steps? And Hezekiah answered, It is an easy doing for the shadow to line 10 steps. Rather let the shadow go back 10 steps. And Isaiah the prophet called to the Lord, and he brought the shadow back 10 steps, out which he had gone down on the steps of Ahaz. And at that time Merodach Baladan, son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent envoys with letters and a present to Hezekiah. They heard that Hezekiah had been sick, and Hezekiah welcomed them. He showed them all his treasure, the silver, the gold, the spices, the precious oil, his armory, and all that was found in the storehouses. There was nothing in the household in all Israel that Hezekiah did not show them. And Isaiah the prophet came to King Hezekiah and said to him, What did these men say, and from where did they come to? And Hezekiah said, They have come from a far country, from Babylon. He said, What have they seen in your house? And Hezekiah answered, They have seen all those in my house. There is nothing in my storehouses that I did not show them. And Isaiah said to Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days are coming when all those in your house will be, in that which your fathers have stored up till this day shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left, says the Lord. And some of your own sons will come from you, whom your father shall be taken away. And they shall be energies in the house of the king of Babylon. And Hezekiah said to Isaiah, The word of the Lord that you spoke is good. For he thought, Why not, if there will be peace and security in my days? Rest the deeds of Hezekiah and the land of his might, and how we made the pool of the conduit and brought winds. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the king of Judah? And Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and Manasseh his son reigned in his life. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hephzibah, and he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all of the despicable practices of the nations whom the Lord drew out before the people of Israel. He rebuilt the high places that Hezekiah's father had destroyed, and erected altars for Baal and made Asherah. And Ahab king of Israel had done. And he worshipped all the host of heaven and served them, and he built altars in the house of the Lord, which the Lord had said, In Jerusalem I put my name. And he built altars for all the host of heaven in 2 courts of the house of the Lord. And he burnt his son as an offering and used fortune tellers and omens, and dealt with mediums and with necromancers. He did much evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger. And the carved image of Solomon his son in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I put my name forever, and I will not cause the feet of Israel to wander any more out of the land that I have chosen. And according to all that I have commanded, and according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them, that they do not listen. And Manasseh led them astray to do more evil than the nations had done before, whom the Lord had destroyed before the people of Israel. And the Lord said to Manasseh, servants the prophet, whereas Manasseh king of Judah had committed these abominations and has done things more evil than that, than all that the Amorites did, who were before him, and has made Judah also to sin with his idols. Therefore thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I am bringing upon Jerusalem and Judah such disaster of the ears of everyone who hears it will tingle. And thou stretched over Jerusalem the measuring line of Samaria, and the plumb line of the house of Ahab, and I will wipe Jerusalem as one wipes a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And I will forsake the remnant of my heritage, and give them into the hand of their enemies. And they shall become a prey and a soldier of their enemies. You see, done what is evil in my sight, and prove refuge anger, since the day their father came out of Egypt, even to this day. Moreover, Manasseh shed very much innocent blood, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another. Besides the sin that he made Judah to sin, so that they did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and all that he did, and the sin that he committed, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Manasseh slept with his fathers, and was buried in the garden of his house, in the garden of Uzzah, and Amon his son reigned in his place. And Amon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Mishalemeth, the daughter of Haraz of Joppa, and deal was even in the sight of the Lord. As Manasseh his father, he walked in all the way in which his father walked, and served the idols that his father served and worshipped. He abandoned the Lord, the God of his fathers, and did not walk in the way of the Lord. And the servants of Amon conspired against him, and put the king to death in his house. And the people of the land struck down all of those who conspired against King Amon, and the people of the land made Josiah his son king in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Amon that he did, how they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah. And he was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and Josiah his son reigned in his place. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 31 years old in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jedediah, the daughter of Adair of Bozkath. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and walked in all the way of David his father. And he did not turn aside to the right or to the left. In the 18th year of King Josiah, the king sent Shaphan, son of Azaliah, son of Meshullam, the secretary to the house of the Lord, saying, Go to Hilkiah the high priest, that he may count the money that has been brought into the house of the Lord, which the keepers of the threshold have collected from the heap, and let it be given into the hand of the workmen who have the oversight of the house of the Lord, and who will give it to the workmen who are at the house of the Lord, repairing the house, and let them use it for buying timber and quarries on the stone to repair the house. And no accounting shall be asked from them, and for all the money that is to be delivered into the hand, for they deal honestly. And Hilkiah the high priest said to Shaphan the secretary, I found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. And Shaphan the secretary came to the king, and reported to the king, The servants have emptied out the money that was found in the house, and have delivered it into the hand of workmen that has oversight of the house of the Lord. And Shaphan the secretary told the king, Hilkiah there he said, Give him the oath. And Shaphan read it before the king. And the king heard the words of the book of the law, he told his priest. And the king commanded Hilkiah the priest, and he came son of Shaphan, and Achbor the son of Micah, and Shaphan the secretary, and Isaiah the king said, saying, Go, inquire of the Lord for me, and for the people, and for all Judah, concerning the words of this book that has been found. For great is the wrath of the Lord that has come against us, because their hearts have obeyed the words, and have not obeyed the words of this book, to do according to all that is written concerning us. So Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam, and Achbor, and Shaphan, and Isaiah went to Huldah the prophetess, the wife of Shallum the son of Tikva, son of Harhas, keeper of the wardrobe. And they talked with her, and she said to them, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, How the man who sent you to me, thus says the Lord, Behold, I will bring disaster upon this place, and upon its inhabitants, and all the words of the book that the king of Judah has read, because they have forsaken me, and made offerings to other gods, that they may provoke me to anger with all the work of their hands. Therefore my wrath will be kindled against this place, and it shall not be quenched. And to the king of Judah, who sent you to inquire of the Lord, thus you shall say to him, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, regarding the words that you have heard, because your heart was faint, and you humbled yourself before the Lord, and you heard how I spoke against this place and against its inhabitants, that they should become a desolation and a curse, and you torn your clothes and wept before me. I also have heard to close the Lord. Therefore, behold, I will gather you to your fathers, and you shall be gathered to your great enemies, and your eyes shall not see all the disaster that I will bring upon this place. And they brought you backward to the king. And they brought backward to the king. And the king sent, and all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem were gathered to him. And the king went up to the house of the Lord, and with him all the men of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. and the priests and the prophets, all the people blessed the Lord and great. And he read unto hearing all the words of the book of the covenant that was being found in the house of the Lord. And the king stood by the pillar and made a covenant before the Lord, to walk after the Lord and to keep his commandments, and made a covenant before the Lord, to walk after the Lord and to keep his commandments and his testimonies before the Lord. Covenant before the Lord, and to walk after the Lord and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes. And the Lord was high and the Lord was soft, to perform the words of the covenant that were written in the book in this book, and all the people joined in the covenant. And the king commanded Hilkiah, the king high priests, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the threshold, to bring out of the temple of the Lord, all the vessels made for Baal, for Asher, and for all the host of heaven. He burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and he carried their ashes to Bethel. Then he deposed the priests of Judah and around Jerusalem, those who burned incense to Baal, which is the sun and the moon and the constellations, and all the host of the heavens. And he brought out the moon and the constellation. And he brought out the Asherah and the house of the Lord outside Jerusalem to the brook Kidron, and the Asherah from. Then he burned out the brook Kidron and beat it to dust, and cast the dust of it upon the graves of the common people. And he broke down the houses of the male-called prostitutes who were in the house of the Lord, where the women wore hangings for the Asherah, and they were in the house of the Lord. And he brought all the priests out of the cities of Judah, and to fill the high places where the priests had not gotten from together to Beersheba. And they break down the high places of the gates that were at the entrance of the gate of Joshua, the governor of the sea, which were on the ones left of the gate of the sea. However, the priests of the high places did not come up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they ate unleavened bread among their brothers, and he to fill Topheth, which is on the valley of the son of Hinnom, that no one might burn his son or his daughter as an offering to Moloch. And he removed the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun at the entrance to the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathan and Malach, the chamber which is in the precincts, and he burned the chariots of the sun with fire, and the altars on the rear of the upper chamber of the house, which the kings of Judah had made, and the altars that Manasseh had made in the two courts of the house of the Lord. He pulled down and broke in pieces and cast the dust of them into the brook Kidron, and the kings who were high places that were east of Jerusalem to the south of the mountain of corruption, which Solomon the king of Israel had built for Ashtaroth, the abomination of the Sidonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and for Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And he broke in pieces the pillars, and cut down the Asherah, and filled their places with the bones in it. Moreover, the altar of Bethel, the high place, erected by Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, the altar of the high place he pulled down and burned, reducing it to dust. He also burned the Asherah, and as Josiah turned, he saw the tombs that had on the mount. And he took the bones of the tombs and burned them on the altar and defiled it, according to the word of the Lord that the man God proclaimed, who rejected these things. Then he said, what is that monument that I see? And the man of the sea told him, it is the tomb of the man who of God, who came from Judah and rejected these things that you have done against the altar of Bethel. And he said, let no man move his bones. So let his bones alone. Let his bones alone with the bones of the high prophet who came out of Samaria. And Josiah removed all the shrines of the high places that were in the cities of Samaria, with kings of Israel had made, provoking the high Lord to anger. He did to them according to all that he had done at Bethel. And he sacrificed all the priests of the high places who were there on the altars and burned human bones on them. And he returned to Jerusalem. And the king commanded all the people, keep the Passover to the Lord your God, as it is written in this book of the covenant. For no such Passover had been kept since the days of the judges who judged Israel, or during all the days of the kings of Israel, all of the kings of Judah. And the 18th year of King Josiah, the Passover was kept to the Lord in Jerusalem. Moreover, Josiah put away the mediums and the necromancers in the house of God, and the idols, and all the abominations that were seen in the land of Judah and Jerusalem, that he might establish the words of the law that were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. Before there was no king like him, who turns the law with all his heart, and with all his soul, and with all his might, according to all of the law, all of the law of Moses, nor did any like him rise after him. Still the Lord did not turn from the burning of his great wrath, which his anger was kindled against you. This were all the provocations with which Manasseh had provoked him, And the Lord said, I'll remove Judah out of my sight, as I have removed Israel, and I'll cast off the city that I have chosen, Jerusalem, and the house of which I said, my name shall be there. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In his days, Pharaoh Necho of Egypt went up to the king of Assyria, to the river Euphrates. King Josiah went to meet him, and Pharaoh Necho killed him and Megiddo. As soon as he saw him, his servants carried him dead in a chariot from Megiddo, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own tomb. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, the son of Joash, and anointed him, and they made him king in his father's place. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Ham, and Rachel, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did what was evil in the sight of him, according to what his fathers had done. And Pharaoh Necho put him in bonds at Riblah and the land of Hamath, that he might not reign in Jerusalem. And laid on the land a tribute of 100 tons of silver, and a ton of gold. And Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim the son of Josiah king in the place of Josiah his father, and changed his name to Jehoiakim. And he took Jehoahaz away, and he came to Egypt and died there. And Jehoiakim gave silver and gold to Pharaoh, by tax the land to give the money according to the plan of Pharaoh. He extracted the silver and the gold he put from everyone according to his testament, and to give it to Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign. He only reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zebidah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Rima. And he did what was evil in the sight of him, according to all that his fathers had done. And in those days Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant for 3 years. And he turned and rebelled against him, and the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldeans, and bands of the Syrians, and bands of the Moabites, and bands of the Ammonites, and sent them against you to destroy, according to the word the Lord may spake by servants to the prophets. So this came upon Judah at the plan of the Lord, to remove them out of his sight for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he had done. And I should put it in some blood that it was, and that he had shed, for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, and the Lord would not pardon it. Now the rest of the deeds of Jehoiakim and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiachin his son reigned in his place. Then the king of Egypt did not come again out of his land. How the king of Babylon had taken all that belonged to the king of Egypt from the brook of Egypt to the river Euphrates. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elhanan of Jerusalem. And he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all his father had done. And at that time the servants of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon came up to Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. And Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon came to the city while his servants were besieging. And Jehoiachin the king of Judah gave himself up to the king of Babylon, himself and his mother and his servants and his officials and his palace officials. Then the king of Babylon took him prisoner in the 8th year of his reign, and carried off all the treasures of the house of the Lord and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold in the temple of the Lord, which Solomon king of Israel made, as the Lord foretold. He carried away all Jerusalem and the officials and all the mighty men of valor, with 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and the smiths. None remained except for the poorest people of the land. And he carried away Jehoiachin to Babylon, the king's mother, the king's wives, his officials, and the chief men of the land, and took into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon. And the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon all the men of valor, 7,000, and the craftsmen and the metal workers 1,000, all of them strong and fit for war. And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, Jehoiachin's uncle, king in his place, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. And because of the anger of the Lord, it came to the point in Jerusalem and Judah that he cast him out from his presence. And Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. And in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, on the 10th day of the month, Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon came with all his army against Jerusalem and laid siege to it. And he built siege works all around it. So the city was besieged till the 11th year her king's etiquette. On the last day of the 4th month, the famine was so severe in the city, and there was no food for the people to live. And a breach was made in the city, and all the men of war fled by night to them by the way of the gate between the two walls. The king's guard and the Chaldeans were around the city, and they went in the direction of the Arab. Of the army, the Chaldeans pursued the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. And his whole army was scattered from him, and they captured the king and brought him out to the king of Babylon at Riblah, and they passed sentence him. He slaughtered the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him in chains, and took him to Babylon. In the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, that was the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, assembled the king of Babylon, and he came to Jerusalem. And he burned the house of the Lord and the king's house and all the houses of Jerusalem. And a great house he burned down. And all the army of the Chaldeans who were with the captain of the guard broke down the walls around Jerusalem, and the rest of the people who were left in the city. And the deserters who had said to the king of Babylon, together with the rest of the multitude, the Bezalel, the captain of the guard, carried into exile. And the captain of the guard left some of the poorest of the land to vine dressers and fighters. And the pillars of bronze that were in the house of the Lord, and the stands in the bronze sea that were in the house of the Lord. The bronze of all these vessels was beyond weight. And the height of one pillar was 18 cubits, and though there was a capital of bronze, the height of the capital was 30 cubits, with latticework and pomegranates, all of bronze. They were all around the capital, and the second pillar had the same with latticework. And the captain of the guard to Seraiah the chief priest, and Zephaniah the second priest, and the 3 keepers of the threshold. And from the sea he took an officer who had been in command of the men of war, and 5 men of the king's council who were found in the sea. And the secretary of the commander of the army who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the sea. And Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. And the king of Babylon struck them down and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. So Judah was taken into exile out of his land. And over the people who remained in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had left, he appointed Gedaliah the son of Hekam, son of Shaphan, governor. And when all the captains and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah governor, they came with their men to Gedaliah at Mizpah, namely Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and Johanan the son of Kareah, and Seraiah the son of Tahumeth, and Netophathah, and Jazaniah the son of Machathai. And Gedaliah swore to them and to their men, saying, do not be afraid because of the Chaldean officials. Live in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. And the 7th month, Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama, of the royal family, came with 10 men, and struck down Gedaliah, and put him to death along with the Jews and the Chaldeans who were with him at Mizpah. And then all the people, both small and great, the captains of the forces arose and went to Egypt, while they were afraid of the Chaldeans. And in the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 27th day of the month, Jehoiakim, king of Babylon, and the year that he began to reign, graciously freed Jehoiachin, king of Judah, from prison. And he spoke kindly to him and gave him a seat above the seats of the kings who were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiachin put off his prison garments, and every day of his life he dined regularly at the king's table. And for his allowance, a regular allowance was given him by the king according to his daily needs, as long as he lived. Proverbs 23. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are given to appetite. Do not desire delicacy, for they are deceptive food. Do not toil to acquire wealth, be discerning enough to desist. But when your eyes lie on it, it is gone, for suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle toward heaven. And do not eat the bread of a man who is stinging, for do not desire delicacies, for he is like one who is inwardly calculating. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You will vomit the morsels that you have eaten, and waste your pleasant words. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your word. Do not move an ancient landmark or enter the fields of the fathers, for they are redeemed Israel. He will lead their cause against you. Apply your heart to instruction, and your ear to words of knowledge. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. If you strike him with a rod, he will save his soul from Sheol. My son, if your heart is wise, my heart too will be glad. My inmost being will exalt when you're listening for what's right. I know your heart envy sinners, but continue in the fear of the Lord all day. Surely there is a future, and your head will not be cut off. Hear my son, and be wise, and direct your heart in the way. You know how among drunkards or among gluttons is in me, and the drunkard and the glutton will come to cover, and slumber will clothe them with rags. Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. My truth, and do not start by wisdom, instruction, and understanding. The heart of the righteous will greatly rejoice. Nay, father's wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and mother be glad, let her will you rejoice. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes observe my way. The road is a deep pit, and an adulteress is a narrow road. She lies in wait like a robber, and increases betrays among the mankind. Whose way, whose sorrow, whose strife, whose complaining, whose wounds without cause, whose redness of eyes, those who carry long over wine, those who go to try and mix wine, do not look at wine when you drink. It sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a serpent and stings like an adder. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart utter perverse things. You'll be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, like one who lies on the top of the mast. Struck me, you will say, but I was not hurt, but I did not feel it. Then when I wake up, I must have another drink. Psalm 147. Praise the Lord, for it is good to sing praise to our God, for it is pleasant, and a song of praise is fitting. The Lord builds up Jerusalem, he gathers our hostages. He heals the broken heart and binds up their wounds. He determines the number of the stars. He gives to all of them their names. Great is the Lord and abundant in power. His understanding is beyond measure. The Lord lifts up the humble. He casts the wicked to the ground. Sing to the Lord with thanksgiving. He make melody to our God on the Lord. He covers the heavens with clouds. He prepares rain for the earth. And he makes grass grow on the hills. He will give the beast their food. And to the young ravens that cry, his delight is not in the strength of the house, horse, nor his pleasure in the lays of the man. But the Lord takes pleasure in those who fear him, and those who hope in their steadfast love. Praise the Lord, O Jerusalem. Praise your God, O Zion. For he strengthens the bars of your gates, and blesses your children within you. He makes peace in your waters. He fills you with the plans of the weak. He sends out his command to the earth. His word runs swiftly, and he gives snow like wool. He scatters frost like ashes. He holds down his case to look of ice like cups. You can stand before them and it is cold. He sends out his word and melts them. He makes the wind blow and the waters flow. He declares his word to Jacob, his statutes and rules to Israel. He is not dealt with us with any other nation. He is not his will, nor his rules. Praise the Lord. Now the stand, as you do the Lord's prayer. His by hands, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us now our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Build us through the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.